In a world obsessed with celebrity, we often think we know the whole story. The magazines, the TV interviews, the paparazzi photos, they all create an illusion of transparency. But what happens when the lights fade and the truth spills out in court? This is the untold story of one of the most publicized breakups in recent memory. It's a tale of love turned sour, betrayal, splashed across headlines, and the legal battle that revealed what really happened behind the scenes. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Verdict Diaries. Every day, we bring you gripping true stories of legal battles, emotional conflicts, and courtroom drama that change lives forever. Hit that subscribe button and be part of our journey. It all started with a red carpet appearance, one of many. Mark Sullivan, a beloved film actor with a string of international blockbusters, and Eliza Monroe, an acclaimed theater actress turned fashion icon, seemed like the perfect couple. They smiled for the cameras, whispered inside jokes on talk shows, and publicly celebrated their wedding anniversary every year with heartfelt Instagram posts. But things were not as picture-perfect as they seemed. Friends close to the couple noticed cracks forming. Mark was spending more time abroad filming, while Eliza was investing in her own fashion label and spending long hours away from home. What looked like power couple independence was, in truth, the beginning of emotional distance. The first real sign of trouble surfaced when a tabloid published blurry photos of Mark leaving a dinner with his co-star, late at night. Speculation exploded online. Was he cheating? Was Eliza aware? Publicly, they stayed quiet. But privately, Eliza had already begun speaking with a lawyer. She wasn't just angry, she was confused and heartbroken. After confronting Mark and receiving vague, evasive answers, she started keeping a record of their financials, their conversations, and everything in between. By the time Mark returned home from another shoot 6 weeks later, he was served divorce papers. The news sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Fans were devastated. The press couldn't get enough. And as court proceedings began, the story became about much more than just infidelity. In court documents, Eliza alleged that Mark had not only been unfaithful, but that he had also been siphoning joint assets into private accounts for months before their separation. She claimed that a property in Spain, a vintage car collection, and an offshore investment were never disclosed to her during their marriage and had all been quietly acquired under shell companies. Mark's legal team pushed back aggressively. They painted Eliza as a bitter ex-wife, trying to gain financially from a failed relationship. They released statements to the press, subtly suggesting she was unstable, driven by jealousy, and struggling professionally. Eliza didn't respond publicly, but her legal team did. They subpoenaed bank records, property titles, and emails, and what they found was damning. In one email, Mark instructed his financial advisor to purchase a condo in Switzerland under the name of a business entity he had never disclosed to Eliza. In another, he referred to the divorce as a distraction to be handled. The court proceedings were televised, a rare decision that came at Mark's own request. He believed the public seeing him calm and composed would sway opinion in his favor. But that decision backfired spectacularly. During cross-examinations, the camera caught Mark contradicting himself multiple times. He denied the existence of certain accounts, only to be shown documented proof minutes later. He tried to explain away his actions as standard business practices, but the court and the viewers weren't buying it. Eliza, by contrast, remained composed. She testified only once, but her words were clear and honest. She didn't ask for vengeance, she asked for truth. And as the evidence stacked up, the tide of public opinion shifted. Part 1 of this gripping case closes here, but there's so much more ahead. From media manipulation and leaked emails to a surprise witness that no one saw coming, stay with us. The aftermath of the announcement sent shockwaves through both the media and the couple's closest circles. Cameras followed them relentlessly, and every facial expression, every outfit, every social media post was dissected and analyzed. But beneath the surface of this public spectacle, the real drama was unfolding in legal meetings, late-night phone calls, and emotional confrontations. Natalie's legal team began preparing her response, combing through financial documents, property titles, and prenuptial agreements. What surprised many was that there was no prenuptial agreement. Despite their immense wealth and public status, Natalie and James had entered the marriage on mutual trust, a decision that now left millions of dollars in limbo. James, while trying to maintain his image publicly, began to act more erratically behind closed doors. He issued statements through his lawyer, but refused to meet Natalie face to face. The media speculated endlessly about affairs, financial misconduct, and even hidden children. Every outlet wanted to be the first to expose the real reason behind the breakup. But for Natalie, the focus was clear: her 2 children. In the custody meetings, things turned bitter fast. James claimed Natalie's rising acting career had made her an absent mother. He argued that he had taken on more of the parenting load and deserved full custody. Natalie, heartbroken, countered that her career had been the family's primary source of income for the last 5 years, and that James was rewriting history to punish her for walking away. Their daughter Ellie, just 8 years old, was called in for a psychological evaluation, something that Natalie swore she'd never let happen again. The young girl was caught in the middle of a media storm and a parental war, and it was beginning to affect her schooling, her sleep, and her mental health. Meanwhile, public opinion shifted daily. Some fans supported Natalie, claiming James was manipulative and hiding behind charm. Others accused her of being selfish and ambitious, caring more about fame than family. Tabloids pitted them against each other with dramatic headlines like "Hollywood's favorite couple, love or lies." One particularly harsh article claimed James had been secretly funneling money to offshore accounts for years, an accusation that Natalie's team immediately pursued. A forensic accountant was brought in, and the truth began to surface. Hidden bank accounts, unauthorized property purchases, and even payments to private investigators all pointed toward a bigger betrayal than anyone had imagined. As the case reached its peak, Natalie finally broke her silence in a controlled, emotional interview. She didn't go into the legal details, but talked about pain, trust, and the importance of protecting her children. That night, Number We Stand with Natalie trended globally. But James wasn't finished. He filed a defamation lawsuit, claiming the interview painted him as an abuser and a thief. His team pushed for a gag order on Natalie, hoping to silence her and shift the narrative. For Natalie, this wasn't just a divorce, it was a full-blown war of image, integrity, and justice. In the courtroom, tensions flared. Natalie's lawyer presented a timeline of James's suspicious financial activity alongside testimonies from former staff who claimed he had planned for the divorce for months, if not years. James's team countered with claims that Natalie had grown cold and distant, lost in the world of celebrity, while James stayed grounded in family life. But the tipping point came when Ellie's teacher was called to the stand. She described the girl's anxiety, sudden outbursts in class, and a heartbreaking drawing where Ellie stood between 2 houses labeled Mommy and Daddy, with lightning bolts above both. The judge, visibly shaken, ordered both parties to attend a private mediation for the child's sake. As Natalie walked out of court that day, she didn't speak to reporters. Her focus wasn't the headlines anymore, it was healing her family. As the media frenzy intensified, the courtroom became a stage where the private became painfully public. Olivia and Mason, once the couple adored by fans around the globe, now found themselves dissected in headlines, sound bites, and social media threads. Each court session was packed not only with legal professionals, but also with reporters and curious onlookers. Paparazzi lenses captured every frown, every tear, every sideways glance. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere had turned tense and cold. Olivia's legal team presented evidence suggesting that Mason's production company, despite being co-founded during their marriage, had funneled profits into a separate business account under Mason's sole name. Mason's team argued it was an operational necessity. Olivia claimed it was financial betrayal. Meanwhile, Mason's lawyers counterattacked by bringing in character witnesses who questioned Olivia's involvement in the company. She wasn't present in meetings. She didn't contribute creatively, one former associate testified. But Olivia's emails, schedules, and project files painted a very different picture. Her voice cracked as she took the stand to defend her role, not only as a partner in business, but also in marriage. "I was there. I helped build it. I gave up roles and opportunities so we could grow this together," she testified, her eyes locked on Mason's, but receiving no acknowledgement in return. The trial, originally expected to last a few weeks, stretched into months. The presiding judge grew visibly weary of the delays and media noise. Midway through, both legal teams were ordered to meet privately to attempt mediation. Olivia agreed. Mason, though hesitant, also consented. The mediation took place in a secluded chamber, far from cameras. For the first time in a long while, Olivia and Mason sat face to face without their entourage. The air was thick with unsaid words, unhealed wounds. "You know I loved you, right?" Olivia whispered, tears forming, but not falling. Mason sighed. "I know, and I know I ruined that." Despite the emotional weight of the meeting, mediation failed to resolve the financial disputes. They returned to court, this time with a renewed intensity. But something had shifted. The fire wasn't just about money anymore, it was about closure. In the final week of proceedings, Olivia's attorneys unveiled an overlooked clause in their marital contract, an equity split provision tied specifically to the growth of their joint company. Mason's legal team attempted to refute its validity, citing outdated language, but the court found the clause enforceable. The moment the clause was ruled binding, Mason's expression hardened. Olivia, on the other hand, finally allowed herself a moment of relief. She wasn't just winning a legal battle, she was reclaiming the years she had poured into a partnership that no longer served her. Outside the courthouse, the press swarmed their exit as usual. This time, however, Olivia stopped. She turned to the cameras and simply said, "Sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most powerful new beginnings." Back home, she began to reconnect with the parts of herself she had set aside. She signed with a new agency, accepted roles she once turned down, and launched a non-profit focused on helping women in creative industries navigate financial and legal challenges. Mason faded from the public eye for a while. His next project received lukewarm reviews. Rumors circulated of internal conflicts in his company. Some claimed the trial had changed him, humbled him. Others said he had simply lost his spark. But Olivia, she was thriving, and though scars remained, They were proof that she had survived. Stay tuned. Now we reveal how the final verdict impacted not only Olivia and Mason, but also reshaped the conversation around celebrity relationships and financial fairness. And if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the Verdict Diaries for more real-life legal dramas and emotional journeys. The media storm didn't fade. If anything, it intensified. Reporters crowded the courthouse steps every morning, shouting questions and snapping photos as Jacob and Vanessa arrived separately. Online forums buzzed with speculation, fan theories, and outrage. Hashtags related to the case trended across platforms, turning a private matter into a full-fledged public spectacle. But behind the noise, the courtroom remained a place of unrelenting truth. On the fourth day of testimony, Jacob's longtime tour manager was called to the stand. He was a man who had traveled the world with Jacob, who had seen both the dazzling highs and devastating lows. Under oath, the manager revealed an incident that had never made headlines. It involved a night in Berlin when Jacob had allegedly destroyed a hotel room during a drug-fueled argument with Vanessa. The details were harrowing and cast a shadow over Jacob's previously celebrated persona. Vanessa kept her composure through it all. Her attorney emphasized that the issue at hand wasn't Jacob's fame. It was the safety and well-being of the child. The court needed to determine which parent could provide a stable, nurturing environment. Then came a turning point. Vanessa's lawyer presented a video taken from a nanny cam inside the couple's home, footage that had been obtained legally. In it, Jacob could be seen yelling and throwing objects during a disagreement with Vanessa. Their son, just 4 years old at the time, was in the room, visibly frightened. The courtroom went silent as the video played. When it ended, Jacob's legal team scrambled to recover. Their arguments shifted, from defending his character to questioning the authenticity and legality of the footage. But the damage was done. As the trial neared its conclusion, closing arguments were made. Vanessa's attorney painted a picture of a devoted mother trying to protect her child. Jacob's team portrayed him as a man misunderstood, a victim of fame's pressures, and someone who truly loved his son. The judge recessed to consider the verdict, and for the first time in weeks, silence fell on the courtroom. 3 days later, the decision was announced. Full custody would be granted to Vanessa. Jacob would receive supervised visitation rights with the opportunity to petition for changes based on future conduct and rehabilitation. The public had expected a winner and a loser. But in her closing remarks, the judge made something clear. This is not about victory, it's about responsibility, about placing a child's needs above adult grievances. Jacob, visibly emotional, nodded. Vanessa cried softly, her hands covering her mouth. Outside, reporters waited for statements. Vanessa issued a brief one. This wasn't about fame, money, or revenge. This was about protecting my child. I hope today's ruling gives other parents the courage to do the same. Jacob didn't speak publicly. He retreated from the spotlight, canceling a tour and entering a rehabilitation program. Months passed. The headlines moved on. But for Vanessa and her son, a new chapter began, one without fear, without instability. She started an initiative for parents facing custody battles, offering resources, legal advice, and emotional support. Her story became one of resilience and advocacy, showing that even when the world watches, real strength is found in quiet determination. And Jacob? In a rare interview a year later, he spoke about his journey through addiction, fame, and fatherhood. Losing custody was my wake-up call. I had to become the man my son could be proud of. As he performed a stripped-down acoustic set at a charity concert, his first in over a year. Fans noticed something different. The passion was still there, but so was the humility. The courtroom drama had ended. But for everyone involved, the transformation had just begun. Thank you for staying with us through this powerful story. If you found it as moving as we did, make sure to subscribe to the Verdict Diaries for more real-life courtroom stories that shed light on the battles behind closed doors. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a daily upload.